Hello friends, welcome to LeggLife, and as you can see, we're back home.
Yeah.
The Fiji series is over, and as we kind of wrapped up that series with the last video, we thought we should make one more video, just kind of where we sit down, give you our thoughts, talk about what the experience was like, kind of put some punctuation on the end of our Fiji adventure. So it's exactly what we're going to do today.
If you have not seen our Fiji videos yet, we will actually put a link below of the playlist of all of the videos so you can actually go watch them.
Yep, and we have just a couple, we tried to go through and make notes, different topics that we wanted to touch on this.
Yeah.
And so we're just gonna jump into it. Is that okay? Sherri, Beth, thinking back to our entire trip, favorite activity, your favorite thing that we did. What is it for you?
The sunset cruise, I think, was my favorite. We did 2 cruises with Captain Cook Cruises, and they were both phenomenal, but I really liked the sunset cruise. It was beautiful, and they did the dancing at the end, which was super awesome, and they wished us a happy anniversary, which was really nice.
That was fun.
So it was, and the food was amazing. So
Sunset cruise.
Sunset cruise.
So my favorite activity was the other cruise with Captain Cook Cruises, which was when we went to Tavoa Island. Tavoa Island was just, I really do think, you guys have heard us say this before, when we go to Castaway Cay, Disney's private island in the Bahamas, that was just, when you think of heaven on earth, that's what I thought about.
The pinnacle of relaxation
and beauty, and just a great environment. Tavoa is better. It was better. Miles better. It was perfect for me. It was.
Yeah, some of it was the lack of people. It was
the seclusion of the island.
The seclusion of the island.
Yeah.
It's really, it's whoever was on the tiny boat with you.
Yeah, that was it.
And that was it.
And then the staff.
And the staff.
Yeah, it was beautiful. The sand was amazing. The weather was perfect. Yeah. The sharks were awesome. You were not a fan of the sharks.
Not a fan of sharks.
So, it's interesting to me that each of our favorite activities were with Captain Cook Cruises.
I think that speaks highly of them. I mean, they did a great job, and I would absolutely use them again.
Yeah, they were spectacular. Yeah. I would do, if we went back to Fiji, I would do both of those things again.
And more. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, next. Things we didn't need to bring. What did we pack that we actually, in hindsight, we didn't need to lug halfway around the world?
My camera.
Yeah, we brought the big photography camera.
My ginormous camera. I think I took pictures of the sunset first night with it and realized they were just as good on my phone and still not anywhere near what the real thing was. And so I was just I'm not going to haul out my big camera for anything else, and I didn't.
Yeah, the camera stayed in the room.
Yeah.
As did the drone. And this actually surprised me because I was so excited to drone Fiji. And the reason we didn't use it wasn't because we didn't want to, because it would have been beautiful.
Yes.
Honestly, I just felt if I was on vacation trying to relax and a drone is flying over, it's so annoying. And I didn't want to be that guy who, while people are trying to relax on the beach and at the resort, is buzzing with their drone.
And I also didn't want to hear that for myself.
I know. And so I was like, you know what?
Because it was peaceful and relaxing, and I just didn't want this.
It's annoying. And that's actually one of the things, is that for the vast majority of our trip, the only things that we heard were water and birds. That's it. No highway noise, no, mostly no other sounds.
Right. Yeah.
And so getting a drone and I don't know, it just felt annoying to pull it out, and the content wasn't worth it. And so I was like, you know what, drone, you need to stay packed. So next time we went to Fiji, probably wouldn't bring those things.
Which is half of the small suitcase that we brought with my camera and the drone.
So dumb. Favorite meal? You have a very easy answer for this.
Very easy answer for this. My mouth just watered a little bit. It was the lobster and prawn ravioli that I had the last night we were there.
At Sales in Port Denarau.
Oh my gosh. Not just the best meal there. Top 3 meals of my life. It was amazing.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
How much of the amazingness of that meal, because I agree, spectacular, was the setting right on the water, the fact that basically we were being serenaded the whole night, Like how much of it was the meal and how much of it was the environment experience last night in Fiji? What do you think?
Probably the experience was part of it, but the meal itself was so good. And honestly, it like immediately brought me back to when we were in Paris and that veal that I had, which is also a top 3 meal of my life. Like it just, like my first bite, and I was like, oh, this is going on that list. And it was phenomenal.
Yeah, the flavor was delicate and perfectly balanced, and just
with lobster and prawn, like sauces can like really easily overwhelm them. And this one didn't. It perfectly complemented. Like it had its own taste to it, but it like complemented the lobster and the prawn. Oh my gosh,
it was so good.
I want it right now.
Well, I have bad news.
Oh, no.
You can't have it right now.
Okay.
My favorite meal was actually on your Sunset Cruise, on the Sunset Cruise that you love. And that was the buffet meal. Well, the buffet was fine, but what was really the highlight was that lobster. You guys remember, like,
size of my arm.
The lobster. Now, here's why I'm surprised that was my favorite meal. I am not a huge lobster fan.
That's true.
I actually got food poisoning from lobster years and years ago.
You were like 16.
On a New Year's Eve. And I have avoided lobster mostly since then. And so when, like, if lobster is available, you get it always. I normally opt for something else.
And he'll take a bite of mine, but like he doesn't usually like order.
Always. But the way that they did this is they took all of the lobster meat out of the tail and they made it into like, I mean, this sounds so, like almost like some kind of a lobster salad or lobster dish, and then put the meat back in the tail. And it was so flipping amazing.
It was really good.
I was shocked at how much I loved it. So I think that was probably my favorite, my favorite meal. Now, biggest surprise. Thinking back on the whole trip, was there like, what was the thing that was like the biggest surprise? And this is something.
Look at our answer.
Well, I was gonna say we only have one answer on this one because it's something that we both agree with.
Yes.
What's that?
The relaxation of the culture. It wasn't just, oh, we were on a resort. Of course, it was relaxing. It was everywhere we went was the Bula culture and just like no hurry, no worry, and like chill. Okay,
so going to Fiji, I had some questions in my mind. First of all, because we've been to Hawaii, we've been to Mexico, we've been to like tropical beach locations before, and so I was wondering, is this going to be different? You know what I mean? Like, or is a tropical beach location a tropical beach location?
Right.
And they're all kind of the same.
Which is sort of what I was expecting. And
here's what I will say. As far as the beaches, the environment, I've seen like the stuff we saw, with the exception of like Tavua Island, because that was just, I mean, it's this tiny island in the South Pacific that's just perfect. I've never seen that before.
Right.
But all of the other stuff, like we've seen.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we've seen beautiful beaches in Hawaii. We've seen all that kind of stuff. The thing that was so different to me that really set Fiji apart was exactly that. It was the culture.
Yeah.
I can't, and I've talked to a lot of friends about this since we've been home. Friends who like live in Hawaii, friends who spent a ton of time in Hawaii. And to me, the difference is that aloha in Hawaii, we talked about this in a live stream recently, aloha in Hawaii has kind of become like, it's part of the culture, but it's, you know, it's sort of just like a saying, right? But the Bula culture is legit how everybody there lives. It is, it is that no hurry, just what you said, no hurry, no worry.
Right.
It is the most relaxing environment and culture I've ever been in. I mean, times 10.
Right, above and beyond anything that we had seen before or experienced before. And there's really just, especially with like American culture, like it's hard to explain without just experiencing it. Like I don't feel like we have words in our language to convey what this means, but it was perfect. It was great. Yeah, hands down the most relaxing place ever have been. Yes.
And it's not just because of the environment, because again, the environment you can get in 50 places around the world, but that culture you can't get. And it was so interesting because we had people tell us that before we left. That yes, Fiji's beautiful, but wait until you experience the culture. Like yes, Fiji's beautiful, but wait until you experience like the relaxation of that island. Like friends that have gone to Fiji before. So we had heard that, but I had no clue it would be like that.
Right.
Day 2, and I think we might have said this in the vlog. On day number 2, I asked you how you were feeling. Like if you were relaxed, how you were doing. And you had said that you couldn't even remember the last time you had been that relaxed.
Right.
Day 2.
Day 2. Like it took me 36 hours to like decompress.
Crazy.
Right.
So that's the biggest surprise, was just how relaxing of a culture was.
Yeah.
Let's talk biggest disappointment.
Oh, well, we have the same answer for this one.
We have the same answer for this one too. And we're not going to tell the full story here.
We're going to give you a little teaser snippet.
What was the biggest disappointment?
The Intercontinental.
So, you guys, it was our anniversary.
Yeah.
There is a full story behind this. We didn't vlog that day, didn't even pick up the camera. So what we're going to do is on the LeggLife podcast this coming Saturday, we're going to tell you the entire story about the absolute cluster F that was our anniversary at what was supposed to be one of the nicest resorts in the entire country of Fiji.
Correct.
In the entire South Pacific.
Correct.
And it was terrible. Horrible.
Awful.
Without a doubt, the biggest disappointment. Now, our resort saved the day.
Correct.
And we're going to tell that story too. So, LeggLife podcast, next Saturday, we're telling our whole anniversary Fiji disappointment story. Does that sound good?
Yes.
Let's do it. Okay. Travel. How bad was the travel to and from Fiji? Because we live in Alaska.
Correct.
It's not close to Fiji.
It's not close. So, going there, our travel was 31 hours, I think, from the time we left our house or the time we flew out, I don't remember, to the time we got to Fiji.
Yep.
Now, there was a like 12 or 13 hour layover in the middle there in Los Angeles, so we did go to Disneyland.
Yeah.
Which I felt like kind of broke up like the travel day.
That was great.
Which was great. So, the travel there was really like not terrible. And coming back, it was just flight. And
we did have like a 5-hour layover in LA.
That's true. Yep. I don't know. Like I slept on the layover in LA.
Here's my thing. Was it long? Yeah, of course it is. It was easy.
It was really not that difficult. And
No.
Not nearly as uncomfortable or awful as I was kind of expecting. And we've done long flights before, so
Totally.
like we knew what to expect, but
Yeah.
it was really not bad at all.
Would the length of flight keep you from doing something like that again?
No.
In fact, here's the thing. So we've had Australia on our list for a long time.
Yeah, and it's always just been like, oh,
It's so long to get there.
so long to get there.
And then we were in Fiji, I'm like, wait, Australia's only like 4 more hours?
Right.
So it definitely makes me want to do that. It's kind of taken away the whole like, oh, it's a lot of travel. It's like, it's freaking worth it. All right, Sherri, next question is one that we've received a lot of inquiry about.
Correct.
Has to do with the books that you read, the books that you finished, all that kind of stuff on vacation. So let's start with, how many books did you finish on our Fiji vacation?
8.
Okay. just for comparison, because I know many of you guys will want to know how many books I finished on our Fiji vacation. I finished 2 chapters of one book. Okay, so now, can you tell us what 8 books you read on vacation?
Yes. So these are all listed on my Goodreads that you can go look at. But I'm just gonna list the titles.
We will link Sherri's Goodreads down below. If you're on Goodreads, go follow her, go connect with her.
Yes. Okay. Love and Loathing.
Okay.
By the Book. Beach Read. Love Redefined. Not You Again. Love on the Brain. I'm seeing a pattern. The Not a Date. And Fake It for Love.
Okay.
So the end caps, the first one and the last one. The first one I had actually started before we left for Fiji, but I read the majority of it on the flights there and then finished it in Fiji.
Okay.
And then the last one I started in Fiji and read the majority of it on the flights home and then finished it the day we got home.
Okay. So 8 books. What was your favorite of those? Best book you read?
Oh no.
It's easy. Just pick one.
It's not easy.
It's super simple.
Love on the Brain by Allie Hazelwood. Probably up there.
Okay.
Up
there like top 8? Top 8 of the books you read in Fiji?
I don't know, like, how do you pick a favorite? But, like, that was...
Pretty easily.
Okay.
Because for me, it would be chapter 1 of the 2 chapters that I read. That would have been my favorite.
All right.
All right, so, okay, those are the books.
Yeah.
Let me look and see what the next question is. Ooh, what would you do differently next time? Visiting Fiji, is there something that you would do differently next time?
What did I put on there?
You put on there that.
Oh, I would want my trip to be longer.
Yeah.
We were there for 10 days. But and part of it, I think that I was so in need of true rest and relaxation, and we'll talk about that in a little bit more too. But I wasn't ready to jump back into like real life.
Could you have done another, like if we could have done 3 weeks? Yeah?
Yeah.
A
easy.
month.
Yeah.
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 So like a longer trip for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So mine is like what I do differently, and this is a difficult one because if you remember, the purpose of this trip was one thing. It was rest and relaxation, right? The purpose of it was not experiencing Fiji.
Right. Which is why we didn't explore and go to all the different islands and
have things going every single day. Is that like that's not what the purpose of this trip was.
Right.
But if I was to go back, what I would do differently is I would do more of those day trips. I'd go see more islands because I loved Tivo Island, and it was just such an unbelievable place. And then you realize that the country of Fiji is 300 islands, 300 plus islands, right? And it's like, holy cow, there's 300 of these?
Right.
Right now, a lot of them are privately owned. A lot of them you can't access unless you're staying at those resorts.
A lot of them are just uninhabited at all.
Yep. And so it's like, obviously you can't visit all those islands, but I for sure would like to see more of the country next time. But again, that's not what this trip was for.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So I do want to say one thing, talking about you wanting to stay longer. So this is a trip that we've never stayed. So we've never stayed in one resort the whole time.
Right.
We like move around a lot. Normally if we were doing like a 9 or 10 day trip, we probably would stay in 2 or 3 different locations, like 3, 3, 3, or like 5 and 5. But we tend to move around a lot.
Right.
I loved staying in one location, and I'm a little bit shocked I'm saying that.
I am too, and I'm shocked that you're saying that. I was all for it, just because I know that it removes some of the relaxation if you have to unpack and repack and unpack and repack, and like you're just
100%.
constantly on the move and you're never really like settled. We were able to fully unpack and put our bags away, and we didn't touch them again until we had to pack to go home.
Yeah, it was really nice.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
And like, pulling clothes out of a drawer, out of the closet, and then putting them in a dirty clothes basket that we brought. Like, it was just like, we were able to actually settle, and I think that added to the relaxation.
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt it did.
Right.
So, next, Fiji travel tips. What are some things that, if we had a friend who was like, hey, going to Fiji, want to like check out some things, what would we tell them? Obviously we have a lot of thoughts, but a few of the biggest ones.
Yeah. So we loved the resort that we stayed at. But I would also say leave the resorts and get out and explore, like real Fiji. Get out and explore towns and villages and talk to locals. And, I think, like that's, I think the best way to actually experience Fiji, is to experience Fiji, like not just the pretty resort that you're on, but like what the locals experience every day.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we noticed a lot, was that the resorts primarily are closed environments, right? So Port Denarau, in Nandi, where most of the big resorts are, is very different than everything around it. Right? Very different.
Right.
Even our resort was different than the area around it. You get to some of the resorts on islands that we looked at, very, very different. And here's the thing, like there are hundreds and hundreds of resorts in Fiji. Even though we had like very generous resources for this trip, there were resorts that were thousands of dollars a night. You know what I mean? Like thousands.
That's not where we stayed.
No. And so those, yes, they're beautiful, but like it's not real.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's not real. And the best interactions we had with people, And I'm not talking like service at a resort, because our resort was freaking amazing.
Right.
But like the best interactions with people were always like in towns, in villages with real people.
Talking to the cab drivers.
Like just that kind of stuff. Like it was just spectacular. So yes, like leave the resort, go out of the gated place you're staying, and go experience some of what's around.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things, like when I'm saying if I was to go back there and the focus of the trip wasn't solely rest and renewal, that's what I'd want to do more of, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Another tip I would give, number 2, there's not a need to book things in advance for the most part.
Which we didn't realize, because I feel like there's a lot of times, like if you do book in advance, then you get a discount, or you know for sure like it's booked, or you know.
Yeah, and I tend to be a planner with vacations, so it's like we had our itinerary, doing this book paid for, all this kind of stuff. But then we get there and kind of realize that I was like, oh, none of that was needed. In fact, like probably could have saved a lot of money if we hadn't have booked it in advance.
If we had just walked up to the counter and paid our ticket and gotten on the boat.
Yeah, and so even talking to a lot of our drivers, talking to a lot of people there, they were like, yeah, when you come back, like you don't need to do that. Like we'll be able to get you to do whatever you want to do for a much better price if you book it once you're here.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's just very different than other places we've traveled.
Good to know. Yeah.
And then number 3 is like talking to the locals.
Yes, regarding like shopping and food and all of the things. So specifically for us, there was a handicraft market that we passed several times, and it looked interesting. I mean, it just looked like locally made baskets and bowls and whatever. And we were like, that's kind of what we were wanting to bring home. And so we were like, you know, we kind of asked several people like, hey, is this a good place to buy stuff? You know, we really want to support locals. And so many people were like, because it's not treated wood, it's not
fumigated.
Right. And so we wouldn't be able to take it through customs. And we were like, oh, see, that's, if we had just been like, this is where we're going because it looks local, then we wouldn't have been able to even bring our stuff home.
Yeah, we could have purchased it, but it wouldn't have made it back home with us.
Right.
But then the other thing was, and it was interesting because the more I've thought about it, there are a lot of similarities between like Fiji and Alaska, especially when it comes to like native art and even like the tourism culture. And so there's a lot of gift shops where everything is like mass produced. You know what I mean? Like in another country, right? It's just, it's the kitschy kind of stuff. Right. Nobody comes to Alaska for that stuff, and nobody goes to Fiji for that stuff. You can
get them everywhere downtown Anchorage, but that's not what you want.
That's what you want.
That's not truly Alaskan, and that's not what you want to take home.
And the same thing was true in Fiji. And so I was really glad that when you talk to people, you know, it's like, shop where they think you should shop. Shop where like they shop, even for groceries and stuff.
Right.
Because there were definitely like the touristy kind of places, but that's not what we wanted when we like got off our resort.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
Okay, so Sherri, 10 years from now, when you think back to our Fiji trip, what are the things that you're going to remember? Like what is the memory that pops into your mind 10 years from now? What do you think it'll be?
How relaxing it was, and how immediately we set a rhythm, and we watched the sunset every single night, and we drank our little instant coffee every single morning on our balcony, and it was or on our patio, and it was just like immediate like rhythm of rest. And I think that's what I will always remember about Fiji. Yeah,
it was so interesting because I've tried to think about why it was so relaxing. And obviously it's that culture that we talked about earlier, right? Just like the culture lends itself. But then I do think that it was those rhythms. Right. Like I think that it was every day started exactly the same way. Every day ended exactly the same way. Now there were a few differences of stuff we did in the middle, but for the most part, like we had this really relaxing rhythm. It wasn't like, Sherri, come on, we gotta go. We got a 3 p.m. whatever. We've got this. It was just like, I don't know, I'm just gonna go lay and read. Right. You know, or like I'm just gonna go swim in the pool. Yeah. And really even the mornings that we had to like set an alarm to get up to, you know, go somewhere, it was still like we set it early enough that we were still able to start our day in
peace and quiet and with our coffee, and it just...
Here's the thing. On every day that we set an alarm...
We woke up before our alarm.
Yeah, an alarm. The entire time in Fiji, we never woke up to an alarm.
That's true. Yeah.
Like, even on days that our alarm was set early for us, we woke up before.
Right.
Oh, so nice.
And a big part of that was just because I think their days are 12 hours.
Yeah, so the sun's
every single day.
It's pitch black at 7 p.m.
Right. And so it just, we went to bed earlier than we usually do, and we woke up earlier than we usually do because we got plenty of sleep, and it was just...
Oh, so nice.
It was great.
For me, the thing I'll remember from 10 years from now is the sunsets.
Oh gosh.
They were just so beautiful, and they just lasted so long. Like, it was just spectacular, and I don't know. That will always be. In fact, even as I've been scrolling back through like Fiji photos, I've noticed the ones that I stop on are like the sunset photos, and I'm just like, instant peace.
And the thing is, we were there for 10 days, and we took 75 photos every single night of the exact same sunset from the exact same view, because we would sit on our patio and watch the sunset, and it was just like, I had the exact same pictures, but it doesn't even matter because they're just stunning, every last one of them. Amazing.
Yeah, it was spectacular. All right, Sherri, so one of the things that we've had to kind of think about because the funds that were given to us, there's some, I don't want to say reporting, because reporting sounds very official, but there's some like feedback we have to give coming back, right? Kind of on how it was restful, how it was like renewing, but then also like what is different since you're coming home. And so to you, how did I word this? Oh, what will change because of Fiji? Like, because of the time we had, like going forward, what will be different? What's your takeaway?
I am consistently unplugged. I have not turned notifications back on my phone, and I quit wearing my Apple Watch because I don't want the notifications. I don't want the little buzz. I don't need it. I don't miss it. And I log on to social media accounts just to kind of catch up with people, and then I go back away, and I don't have that notification like everybody that I've ever met in my entire life is posting, and I'm just like, I don't care. I guess I'll catch up with people and I'll just go away again.
Amazing.
So, and I have not missed one single second of it. Yeah.
All right, you guys. Well, the battery died.
Sorry.
It's okay. But we're back. So yours is just consistently unplugged.
Yeah, I'm not plugging back in because I don't need to.
It's so good. So I told Sherri several days into the trip that there was something I had kind of been thinking about a lot on the trip that I felt like had kind of just been coming back to my mind over and over. And this is kind of a little bit deeper, I guess. We have separated LeggLife largely from the work that I do, right? Now you guys know that I do something in the anti-trafficking world, right? You know that I work with anti-trafficking or like trafficking survivors, but like we don't go into a lot of details of that here for a lot of reasons. One of those reasons being, frankly, the work is really, really hard, and it's nice to have a creative outlet that is kind of like a breath and a break from that.
Yeah. That's
one of the things. Another one of the things is just much more practical, and that's safety, right? Here's the reality is that because of the work I do, we have had death threats against myself and against us lots of times. When you think of rescuing survivors, you realize that every survivor is roughly $200,000 a year in revenue to her trafficker. We've had over 200 survivors through our program. It's a lot of money from a lot of bad people. And it's like, because this part of our life is so public, let's not talk about the part where there's danger.
Right.
But here's the reality. All of the traffickers already know who I am. Right? They already know the organization I lead. They already know the work that I do. Like, it's no surprise.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, my name is already out there. And some of this is because I'm trying to not get emotional, but like right before we left on this trip, we had just like a really hard kind of rescue with a really young girl. And we've had lots and lots of rescues and lots of survivors in our programs over the last decade, but this one just like sticks with me, and I'm not sure why. And over the years since we've had LeggLife, you guys, a lot of you know the work that I do, and we've had people reach out to me who have said, Adam, like, my granddaughter's missing, my niece is missing, we're having like trouble, we think this might be more, and a lot of you guys have reached out and we've been able to help, thank God. Right. But I've very much kept that part of my life separate from LeggLife. And I've just been thinking a lot, and over Fiji I spent a ton of time thinking about how I just feel like I think we're supposed to use this platform that we have and any level of influence that we have toward that.
Right.
Now, what does that mean? I don't know. But here's what I do know. I do know that there are a lot of you who watch. I do know there are a lot of you who have questions about work I do. I do know there are a lot of you who find yourself or family or daughters or sons or grandchildren or nieces and nephews in situations that you don't know where the heck to go and what the heck to help. And I just feel like I want this channel to be more of a resource, and I want to be more open about the work that we do, because the work that we do saves lives.
Yeah, and it's so important.
And so that's kind of my takeaway, like leaving Fiji. And I know it's very weird because like it was rest and renewal, but like this is what I was thinking about, was like this challenge that I just kind of like felt in my soul to be more open about the work that I do, because there are people on the other side of the screen who I think we potentially could help.
Right.
So that's my takeaway. I don't know what that looks like. LeggLife's not going to become like anti-trafficking stuff all the time, but the reality is like,
it's a big part of your life. It's a big part of our life, because that's what you do.
Yeah, it's a big part of our life.
Right.
And so it's a big part of our life that we have largely been silent about, because we liked having separation from that, but also out of the fear of like the threats that we get, the threats that I get all the time. But again, I think there's this challenge that I'm feeling that we need to be more open about that part of our life on our channel.
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah.
The other thing I think is, this is kind of tied with what Sherri said, is just the question about like, what are we plugging back into? And so even with LeggLife moving forward, we're kind of questioning a lot of things that we've just always done. How many videos a week do we need to upload? How many podcasts do we need to upload? Do we need to do all the things we've always done? Is it time to like step back or tweak or just like bring a healthier rhythm to our life with all of this?
Right. And I think because one of the things that we learned, or maybe learned, but felt was how desperately our bodies needed rest. Not just our bodies, our minds and our souls. Like we were weary to our very soul. And it was just, I think, especially in, you know, just the lives that we lead, it's kind of crisis to crisis to crisis to crisis. And we don't really realize how exhausted we are until we let our bodies stop, and fully hard stop. And, you know, not just like taking a day, but like fully immersing ourselves in rest. And I think that was like one of my big takeaways, I think, is making sure that we build in true rest and renewal into our lives, and far more often than we have. Because this, you know, like we said, you know, on day 2 I just felt more rested than I had, and I don't even know how long. And you know, some of it is like this last year and a half or so has been extraordinarily difficult, but we just needed rest so bad, both of us. And we both just, like, once, I feel like it took about 36 hours for our bodies to be like, oh, no, like, we're doing this, okay, here we go. And they just like, okay, we're gonna rest. And boy, did they.
Yeah, and it's really interesting, because our friends who made this trip possible, like, that's what they saw. Yeah. Right? They kind of saw that it's like, we're concerned with what you're having to deal with, and you need a break. And so I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
But the way that it's changed, and this is going to change you, it affects stuff on the channel even.
Right.
So in December, we have a vacation going up. We have a Disney cruise. We haven't talked about it on the channel.
Right.
Details to come later. But here's the thing. You guys have watched us cruise with Disney. You know what our normal Disney cruise rhythm is like, right? That we do mixology classes. We sign up for all sorts of stuff. We're doing this. We're doing that. We're kind of doing everything around.
We look at our day and we're like, okay, I have to be here at this time, and here at this time, and here at this time, and here at this time.
So we had the conversation while we were in Fiji. What if on our December Disney cruise, what if we didn't do that? Like, what if we just relaxed? And I'll be really honest with you. There's a part of me that's like, yeah, but like Disney cruising on YouTube, like that's our thing. Like we got to do it. But here's the thing. So what? It's been in the past. It doesn't have to be going forward.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like,
right.
It's like we can go on a Disney cruise and the goal of the cruise can be relaxation and like our time.
Right.
I'm so excited.
So we're still gonna vlog the cruise.
Of course.
We're still gonna, we're still gonna do stuff.
Yep.
Like if we stumble across a trivia, then yeah, maybe we'll go do that. But like we're not planning our day out like we have in the past because we have another opportunity for rest and we're gonna take it.
The difference is that we will do the things as we want to do them rather than looking at the cruise and future cruises and future vacations as, okay, day number 1, what content do I want to get? Day number 2, what content do I want to get? What are the things that I need to cover in a vlog on day number 2? Mm-hmm. When I wake up on day number 2, I'll figure out what the heck I want to do.
Right.
And what the heck you want to do.
Right.
And that is so different than how we've approached the stuff before. And I don't know. I'm just...
And I don't think it's right or wrong. I just feel like we have done it this way for so long, and I think that it's healthy to not.
I think it's healthy to be selfish. Not self-centered,
right,
but selfish.
Yeah.
And the reality is that with our time and with our energy and with our rest and with the things that we give ourselves to, I think we're going to be selfish.
Yeah.
And I love that.
I kind of do too.
Because I want us to experience more of that like breath that we experienced in Fiji. And
right.
less of the chaos that caused us to get to a place that needed that lifeline.
Right. Right.
So here's the thing, you guys. This is a very long video. And we're rambling. But here's what I will say. What you guys are watching right now is kind of a glimpse into the processing that we have been doing since we've been home.
Right. I mean, it's been almost a month of like conversations and processing and, oh, well, I think maybe this is what I got from it, and let's take that a little bit further, and yeah, and like what should our life look like going forward so that we don't get to the point where we are just so burnt out that we needed 10 days to recuperate.
Yeah.
And really probably needed more.
Here's what I will say. I can honestly say Fiji was the most relaxing vacation we've ever done. Was it the best vacation? I don't know. You can't really answer that because like Paris was amazing in a whole different way. Ireland was amazing in a whole different way.
Right.
So I can't say that Fiji was the best vacation we've ever done. It was certainly the most relaxing, and I think that long term, Fiji will be the most impactful vacation we've ever done in terms of the things in our life that will be different because of it.
Because it's shifted our thinking on a lot of things.
I don't know what that means for this. But we'll figure it out.
We're gonna figure it out.
You guys, we love you so much. Thanks. Sorry it was rambly. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Thanks for sticking with us, you guys. And we'll see you tomorrow on the next LeggLife video, which is like our first vlog. It's like our first life vlog back.
Yeah.
What were you going to say? You were going to
I was going to say, and tune in to our podcast next Saturday if you want the full details of what happened on our anniversary.
It was the
lowest of the lows and the highest of the highs, and it was amazing.
I went from, and I was, you guys know that I tend to be a generally cheery disposition. Would you say that's true?
Yes.
Annoyingly so?
Yes.
Okay. I was genuinely
angry.
Like, I was so mad.
I could feel the anger coming off of me.
I was so mad. And then it swung the other way to like...
I cried.
Yes. And so Saturday on the LeggLife podcast, you can subscribe. Just search LeggLife podcast on Apple, on Spotify, here on YouTube. And next Saturday, we'll tell you that whole story.
Yeah.
My anger and Sherri's tears. All right, friends, we love you guys so much. We'll see you tomorrow on the next LeggLife video.